All right. Yes, we have assembled here on this podcast.
Boy,
that
you
time
know, when you say it a second time, it really...
that time it was intentional.
That time it was good.
Yes.
Whatever it takes.
Now you know where I'm going with this.
Okay, everyone, which Avenger are you? I'm Iron Man because I got a fucked up heart.
Oh, okay. All right. Jeff?
I like Captain America because he throws that shield like a boomerang. So he's really Captain Australia.
It comes right back to him.
Yeah.
The Avengers beta began this weekend
and ended.
Is my understanding. So it's what is it? I should pull up that guide. It's I think
It's
three weekends in a row, I believe.
Last weekend, open beta next 2 weekends.
Is that what it is? I think it was what people who pre-ordered this past weekend?
Open. It's open on PS4 this weekend, but it closed everywhere else. Okay. And then weekend 3 it is open everywhere.
Okay, and it was pre-orders this past weekend, I believe. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a decent
and like Verizon customers.
Wait. What? I saw that they were divvying up bonus content by like mobile providers, like Verizon.
Yep. Verizon people got into the beta earlier, like they had a designated number of slots. There's Verizon skins.
Yes.
Or Virgin, not Verizon. Excuse me.
I think both.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe both. There's definitely Virgin skins.
I mean, it's a comic book game, so you got to figure the players are the ones wearing the Virgin skin. Got him!
Man, the historical gamer strikes again.
Suck it, motherfuckers.
Whew. Virgin and Verizon mobile customers will both be getting unique skins. Anyway, y'all played that game?
Yeah, I played like 10 hours.
Wait, really? I was just about to ask, like, how much is in the beta? Like, what is there?
A lot. A surprising amount. So the way it was structured is like, first level is that demo that's been out there, that Golden Gate Bridge one where you kind of switch between each of the Avengers for a little bit, and then
this is probably the same thing I played at PAX last year. Then
and then you play one mission as Miss Marvel / Hulk, kind of back and forth, and then after a little while it opens up and you can pick from like 4 or 5 of the Avengers, and there's like 10 missions on the map or something.
That's the point where I got to. I got to the point where the war table opens up and it's like, hey, there's like now a bunch of missions in front of you. But matchmaking was just completely broken for me, so I couldn't get into any multiplayer stuff, and so I just, and on top of that was not having much fun, so I just stopped there. And
does it let you play them by yourself if you want to?
Yes.
Yeah, you can. There's a like, and the matchmaking problem. I mean, it's a beta, whatever, but like when it fails matchmaking, it kicks you all the way out to like the start game menu. It really sucks.
And the loading times are pretty long.
So like it was a matter of like, okay, I'm gonna wait, like hit this button to jump back in, and then walk away, then come back and try to join. It was just not worth it at a certain point. But yeah, you can disable matchmaking and play alone and get AI people with you.
Yeah, I played like 2 levels by myself. It was working for me on the first day. I got one match with another person, which was really great because it was a lot of us just kind of running around in circles, not knowing where to go. And it was funny just like watching the Hulk run around in circles. And I'm Miss Marvel, and I'm just seeing this guy playing the Hulk literally just run around because we don't know where the objective is. That's my biggest problem with the game is there is a real distinct lack of visual quality with not only like how things look, like characters will blend into the environments. There were some pretty dull sections where like you're fighting through a factory and all the enemies are kind of robot looking and they just kind of like everything's very metal.
Yeah, like and the stuff just kind of doesn't stand out. Even the pickups that pop out of them are just like, here's another glowing orb.
We're talking loot pickups?
Well, loot, health, materials, they all drop, and they don't like come to you after an encounter. You have to go manually run around and like get over everything. But even worse than that was like things where, so it's a team game. It's the Avengers game. The whole point, I think, is you're supposed to be able to play on a team. You don't get to see where any of your allies are. They're not like outlined or anything. You have to be in your line of sight.
You'll occasionally see like an icon off to the side or something, but even that seemed inconsistent. Where like I would run away from the AI Hulk, and then occasionally it would show an AI Hulk, like a little indicator, like, hey, this is 50 yards away, or whatever. But it just, yeah, like situational awareness seemed incredibly low.
There's no mini map, there's no like, and like, so I was playing Miss Marvel, who has like a heal ability, and I'm like, well, I need to keep track of where my allies are because I want to be able to heal them. And then like even worse was like, so I don't know if you had a similar experience, Jeff, but a couple times it would be like, okay, you need to pull a lever and open a door, and the lever isn't glowing, it's not marked anywhere, it's literally just completely blended in with the environment.
It's pretty rough. So there's a door that you have to open where there's like 2 panels you can stand on, and in that case you can hit the like up on the D-pad superhero vision thing, and it'll show like, oh, there are traced lines coming away from the door to these pads. That's totally a thing. And it'll direct you. Yeah, it'll direct you towards the next objective as well.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. But even with that, as someone who did know that was there, I still think the levels are like they're open and empty. I found in a lot of cases, or they are just corridors and there's not much to do in them from what I saw. But yeah, I think it's so through that kind of intro section, or after the initial intro section, kind of the first thing they have you do is play as the Hulk. And I think Hulk is like the worst character in the game by a lot. Like there's just it's hard to get Hulk right in a game that isn't just a Hulk game. And they do this thing where the characters are technically sort of different. You know, like Iron Man can fly.
He has more ranged attacks.
He has more range. Yeah, exactly. Like his heavy attacks shoot in a lot of cases. And Black Widow, same deal. Like she has a gun and she'll shoot the gun and that sort of stuff. But they're also all kind of the same. So they all kind of have a ranged attack where you hold L2 and hit R2. You hold L2 to aim, R2 to shoot. And for like Ms. Marvel, who does not have any kind of energy blast, she does Plastic Man hand across to punch stuff.
Cool.
Okay.
Which is a cool attack.
Like a Dawson kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's a cool attack. But it makes the characters feel generic in a way that is probably good for a game where you're probably going to have to switch characters a lot, but
I
bad in a way
you can't double up, I assume.
No, you cannot double up,
so you might
which I think sucks, because if you've got a main character and you're like, I've been spending a lot of time with this character has all the best gear, all this other stuff, and you're like, oh, I guess I can't play as this character because someone else is, and I don't know how they handle that in random matchmaking, if they just avoid it or what, but that just seems shitty. I don't know. That seems like a bad way to go.
So what is
going to be?
Oh, go ahead.
It's going to be unfortunate when they like release a new character also, and then everyone's going to want to play as that. Yeah. Like when Spider-Man comes out or whoever else they release, and then you can't queue in or match up with anyone because everyone else wants to be that character.
Right. Yeah.
Play it on Xbox. You won't have that problem.
I'm totally with you on the Hulk thing. I remember just a very specific moment. It's the first time you're playing as Hulk and you fight a couple of weak enemies, and then these guys come out with shields, and I hit it with a heavy attack and they just like block it. I'm like, these motherfuckers that are like 6 foot are blocking the Hulk's like big, overhead 2-handed smash attack. It just instantly made you feel not like the Hulk.
And also the Hulk is very big, and as such his arms don't seem super long. Or his range like dialing in his range feels really weird, because he blocks a lot of the screen, so you don't see the swings of your arms a lot of the time. And so I found myself whiffing a lot more. Like it's almost like he needed a little bit more of like that Batman Arkham fucking combat slide to just automatically close the gap on some of these guys, because it just makes it makes the Hulk feel bad. And then his ranged is like he'll just pick up garbage from the ground, like he's tearing a rock up and throwing it infinitely, which is this is a very very Hulk thing to do.
In the Golden Gate Bridge segment, did you guys like platform as the Hulk also?
We're more of that after.
Yeah, that was really awkward.
Yeah, very awkward.
You just kind of jump from wall to wall, and there's like a semi-generous magnet, but if you don't know where you're going or don't have the angle of the camera right, it is super duper awkward.
Can you, as the Hulk, pick up a car, rip it in half, and turn it into boxing gloves?
No. It is.
There is a cutscene like quick time event, pick up a tank, throw it at another tank in that sequence. But
and you can pick up guys and swing them around and beat people with those guys.
But there's definitely a lot of times like where I was like trying to pick up guys and they would block it.
They would like dodge out of the way, and they were the weakest level enemies too. Like
and it's just they wouldn't even dodge. It would just they would go through some animation and it would just say blocked, which I get it. Hey, it's an action RPG. Like you're gonna have dice rolls and all that other shit. It just they want to have it both ways, and I don't think it does good at either. Where like they want to have an action feel. They want to have an action game feel to the combat, but they still want to have some numbers and dice rolls and stuff like that. And I don't think
are numbers flying out of people?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Even like off of punches and stuff like that?
Yeah, man.
Wow, I didn't expect them to go that far in that direction.
Yeah. And it's got, skill trees and stuff like that, but it's a lot of the same. Again, it's another thing that kind of makes the characters seem a little generic in a sense where like for a lot of characters on their skill tree, at least what I looked at, it was like, oh, here's going to be the attack you do after a dodge.
Yep.
Here's going to be your sprinting heavy attack. Here's your
combo a heavy attack on the end of your light string upgrade.
Exactly. Yeah. And so a lot of that, it's just I don't know, man. It doesn't feel good. I thought that Ms. Marvel was fun to play as.
I personally think Ms. Marvel kind of all around was my highlight of that game, both from a character like how she actually plays, because she's like gets big and stretchy and stuff, so her powers are all these like big sweeping arm
like
moves.
Leg sweeps that knock everybody down around you, like a good AoE. That just like it's like okay, that's all right.
One of the things that kind of makes the characters different is like what happens if you're holding R2 and attacking. Like Hulk has this thing where he builds up rage and you can not take damage from that, which I thought was a pretty decent like Hulk ability. Hers is like she gets kind of bigger. And then like as a character, like in terms of the story, she is like, her role is she is getting, so a day there's a big bomb goes off or whatever in San Francisco. The Avengers are disbanded. Everyone's like terrible. And then she kind of teams up with...
I have to ask, what part of the city gets it? Is it like on the bridge or...
It looks like the Presidio.
Yeah, the bridge and the Presidio.
But so she's kind of your like fresh look at this team. She is like a super fan. She's an Avengers fanboy. Like she has all their comics and watches all the movies and stuff. So like as you're getting the team back together, she kind of serves that role of introducing you to these characters if you don't know them that well. The problem is everyone knows the fucking Avengers at this point. Disney has made sure of that fact.
I found like some aspects of the like it makes perfect sense for them to be like, oh, because like she's the narrator, like she's the first voice you hear when you start the game, and yeah, like I think it's like it's a somewhat clever way to try to like walk you through that stuff. But then when she's got lines of dialogue where she's like, I won that fan fiction competition and now I'm accidentally a superhero. I'm just like, fuck this. This is terrible.
I thought that stuff was okay.
Self-insert, like player surrogate garbage. It just sucks.
They definitely try and do the like Marvel movie one-liners to way less effectiveness. Like there's so many just like people dropping a one-liner, but the problem is it's not Robert Downey Jr. It's Troy Baker or who's the other video game voice guy?
Nolan North.
Yes, Troy Baker and Nolan North are your Bruce Banner and Tony Starks in that game. I thought the Hulk looked like Peter Dinklage, which really fucked with me. He's got
He
looked like a really big Peter Dinklage.
Also,
I could not get over that.
When you're loading into a mission and you have the Hulk on the mission, like that, it's that when you're going to that second mission, you're on the Quinjet flying out there. It's Ms. Marvel and the Hulk as the Hulk just sitting there on the jet. It's just you'd be like, wouldn't you just be Bruce Banner at this point?
It probably makes it harder to fly.
Wouldn't you just be like hanging out as a dude that could hold a conversation instead of angry Hulk? Whatever they just like, they didn't put food on the plane. I'm so pissed. Like I don't. It's just I don't know that whatever that stuff's bizarre, but I think the game feels really flat and like there's aspects of it where I came away from it going like, well. Like maybe Black Widow is fun, maybe Captain America is fun, even though like the first thing they do is say Captain America is dead, but
he's not dead.
You wouldn't play as him in the tutorial if
now we're gonna get 400 spoiler comments.
I mean, like I think it's a bigger spoiler to say, oh, the Captain America is dead because that's like the dumbest shit ever. But anyway, I'm sure you eventually unlock him. I'm fairly confident
100%
that you can play as Captain America eventually. But
how many characters are in this beta or the whole game? Do you know?
It's like 5 or
Iron Man, Ms. Marvel,
Black Widow,
Hulk, Thor.
Gonna be Spider-Man, probably Captain America.
Yeah,
so 6 or 7.
And you play as Captain America in that intro stuff. So
I would assume that's one of the main ways they're going to monetize post-releases, more characters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One would think.
Or do they do that? Well, yeah, probably. I was going to say maybe they do that for free, and then
I think
all the skins and microtransactions are where they get paid.
I would have to double check, but I think they said all the characters are going to be free.
Okay. That's not... Yeah, the chat is agreeing with you, yes.
Yeah.
So if you had to describe the combat in a word, what is it? Is it a beat-em-up? Like, is it that kind of, like, button-mashing focused, like...
Light attack, heavy attack.
Okay. Occasionally
and
pop
some modifier buttons, hold the button down, or
break their shield.
Yeah.
Dodge button.
Okay.
Perhaps God of Warframe.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Wow.
kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
so
very
not
much
totally
that, like,
mindless, but somewhat button mashy, repetitive kind of.
specifically playing as Miss Marvel felt a lot like playing as dual blade Kratos. A lot of big like sweeping attacks. Like I think Jeff is right that there's not a ton of difference from character to character, but the couple of characters that felt really different, which was Iron Man and Miss Marvel, do feel different enough that I feel comfortable saying these are my favorite characters, just based off the small differences around them.
There's small differences that like you can at least like differentiate and go like this is more the style I would want to play, I guess, like that sort of thing. So
until
there
somebody else
is that.
picks your character first.
Yeah, because I came away from that saying like, yeah, Iron Man feels a little bit different, and I don't like playing as Iron Man at all because the game doesn't. I'm sure maybe there are missions that feel like they're better built for the ability to fly, but in that intro sequence, which just seems like just here's this cinematic thing, you fly in that bit, and you're like, it makes sense because you're flying along the Golden Gate Bridge. But when I think about the missions I played and think about like if I had the ability to fly, it'd be like, that doesn't actually bring much to the table in these specific scenarios. So yeah, I don't know, it feels sloppy, I guess. I don't know, it's just, I think it's they don't go far enough in some areas, and there are some areas where they get out there a little bit, and I think it just feels like kind of a mess. And I don't think that for a combat focused game, I don't think the combat feels especially good.
Yeah, it feels very average character beat 'em up.
And the loot stuff is very much like you've got, like 6 slots on your character and you're getting loot, and they all have numbers on them, and they helpfully have a equip best loot button you can push, which is nice. You can dust your loot to get resources to upgrade other loot, like
and there will be like when you're going to load into a mission, sometimes it'll be like, okay, a lot of enemies here are going to have cryo damage, so it gives you a chance to, okay, I have like this breastplate that gives me cryo resistance. They throw a lot of terms at you really fast, and they all match directly to like gamma is poison, cryo is freezing. Like they all kind of have a very similar, well-known video game parallel, but you have to know them all first too. And it's just like that on top of the skill tree, on top of the loot management, on top of the fact that you might be playing a character for the first time because your other character is taken. And it's a lot for not that good of a return.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It does. They clearly put a ton of work into all of these systems and all this other stuff, but it doesn't feel like it's worth playing, I guess.
I got a question. When you're playing a specific character and you pick up loot, is the loot you're picking up for that specific character, or is it just everyone?
I think all the loot I picked up was for my character, and I think there's some generic loot because there are artifact slots. Like you've got 4 character specific slots, and that'll be like it's your bracers and your chest plate and
Hulk's
and whatever.
rib cage.
I was going to ask, like, what gear does Hulk have? Because he's just
literally like when you're over the chest thing, it's like a skeleton of his rib cage.
Yeah, but like that stuff doesn't show. It's not like the loot you're wearing doesn't really show because they sell costumes
on any
like
character.
That is a superhero RPG game thing. Like they are on brand and selling you more on brand skins. Like the loot is not meant to show.
It's like the famous costumes from the comics.
That's like Marvel Heroes. That's Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Like that's how these have all generally been.
Thank you.
That's
at least half of the appeal of loot to me is making your character look different.
Yeah, and so instead selling you like, oh, what if you instead had this iconic 50s Captain America skin or whatever the fuck.
I feel like that has to be coming from Marvel / Disney.
Probably.
Right?
Oh yeah,
That's-
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
You
they
have
very
to
much
make these
need
characters look.
I guess that's sure. Yeah.
You got to stay on brand.
Yeah. But there's plenty of loot games out there that both sell cosmetic outfits and have loot that has meaningful artistic, traits as well. So weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
It is what it is, and I think that they tried to cram action RPG mechanics into a game that doesn't, like, the gameplay I don't think lends itself to that especially well, but also it feels like if you were to just take this as a straight up action game, it would feel very half-assed. Like, I just don't think it has the chops.
It's totally in this weird middle ground where it's like they either need to do a lot more to it or scale it back a lot. Because if it was like a really kind of more generic brawler where you could you just kind of generically level up and unlock new abilities, and it was like way more like casual drop in, I feel like it could be good. Like, it could be way more appealing.
More of a Marvel Ultimate Alliance kind of thing.
Yeah, or like you go the other
so.
way and really dedicate yourself to making the loot meaningful and like making the upgrades and the character differences a lot more meaningful, and it becomes more of a like prestige, like badass huge video game, but it's in this weird middle ground that doesn't kind of nail in either direction.